The year is 20XB. All first-party games and classic characters have been wiped from the face of the earth. Mario, dead. Master Chief, extinct. Bubsy? Well, who do you think caused all this? All that remains are some of the best indie platformers of all time. The only way for them to bring back beloved characters such as Tingle and Toad, they'll have to once and for all crown the indie game champion. Our competitors will be competing in 4 different categories today: story, visuals, characters, and movement. Once they've all been completed, we will crown the one true winner and honor them with the title of Best Video Game Ever, probably. I'd like to stress that these are some of my personal favorite games of all time, and this video is entirely my opinion and that I mean no harm. I'd love to hear what you think as well down in the comments below. First up, we'll be talking story. Be wary throughout this video as it will include spoilers. I'll try and keep it light, but sometimes it's necessary to mention those big moments. I usually like to do spoiler-free stuff, but to get the fullest sense of these games, I think it's best to have no restrictions. This is your warning. Shovel Knight's story is clean and simple. Your adventure starts you off with learning of the tragedy that occurred at the Tower of Fate. Sometime after, Shovel Knight awakens to find your loyal partner / girlfriend / boyfriend, Shield Knight, gone. Unable to handle the loss of his partner, Shovel Knight sets out to do what he was truly born to do: farm. That's when the real game starts. You play as Ho Knight. Shovel Knight's journey is very fun and very basic. As you head from level to level, you piece together more and more about what happened on that day. It's nothing wild, but it's filled with plenty of silly moments, emotional moments, a pretty decent plot twist, and great characters. The messenger story is pretty wet and wild, but the initial start isn't too much. The game starts out in your ninja village, where you are one of the last survivors of humanity. One day, the demon army makes its long-awaited attack only to be stopped by the legendary Western hero, who delivers a scroll to you and asks you to take it to the top of a mountain. That's a killer beginning part, but we don't get to see too many story beats until later on. But that's when it gets real whack. About halfway through the game, you finally manage to reach the top of a mountain, which ends up being Glacial Peak. Hold up the magic scroll, summon the Tower of Time, change the entire look and art style of the game. We'll talk more about that later. Continue on your journey and meet up with the Demon King once more. Before you can begin a fight with him, he runs away like a little baby, but you were still able to save this guy who asks you if you're the Western hero, and that's when you realize that you went on an entire journey and arrived back in your hometown, only now it's in the future. Entrust the soldier with the scroll and send him on his way to become the new messenger. And that's it. Except it's not, because then you discover that this shopkeeper guy, who we'll talk more about later, is a former messenger that completed his quest, and now it's your turn. You put on the robes and become the shopkeeper for Soldier. The soldier dies. Now it's up to you again to save the world, and there's still so much more, but listen, we got 3 other games to talk about here, so I'm just gonna have to move on for now. Next up, Celeste. Celeste is easily the most emotionally engaging of the 4. We follow Madeline, a young girl determined and set to climb Celeste Mountain and conquer all her previous fears and anxieties. The story's very relatable. Where Shovel Knight and the Messenger are stories of heroes saving the world and stopping demon-like enemies, Celeste is about dealing with depression and conquering your own personal demons. It's about dealing with and overcoming your worst tendencies. Madeline herself is really easy to relate to. On top of being able to wave dash, which I can, sorry if you can, she frequently deals with various panic attacks, and we get to see her resolve become stronger and stronger over time. The main villain of Celeste is yourself, and if that isn't poetic, I don't know what is. It's all about learning to love yourself for who you are and what you could be. It's so easy to get invested and lost in the story of Celeste. Finally, Hollow Knight. If you looked at my channel, you might have noticed I made 2 separate Hollow Knight videos, and in both of them I talked about how much I love the story. To keep it really basic, Hollow Knight begins with you arriving at Dirtmouth, a quaint little town that you'll come to cherish. You quickly learn that this land will soon be overcome with infection, and it's up to you to take up the mantle and stop it at all costs. Here's the thing though, Hollow Knight's story is so expansive and there's still so much about it that's hard to truly understand without hours of research. So while I think Hollow Knight has the best overall potential of story, I'm gonna have to give this one to Celeste purely off of its message, relatability, and its complex yet easy to understand nature. Next category, visuals. Shovel Knight's visuals can be described in the same way I described the story, clean and simple. With its gorgeous and expressive pixel art, it's like playing an NES game without having to deal with the NES. Yeah, I said it. Shovel Knight embraces the old NES aesthetic wonderfully, so much so that it wouldn't be dumb to think you could potentially run this on an actual NES. Oops, sorry, Polar Knight's cloak is so beige that it cannot be legally run on one. NES is only capable of using 54 different colors, and Yacht Club Games, aka the Shovel Knight developers, impressively stuck to using those except for 4 extras. I'm interested to see what what Shovel Knight would have looked like had it utilized more of the color spectrum, but on the other hand, I don't think it had the same feel and vibe of a classic NES title. The Messenger and Shovel Knight are quite similar in this category, but only temporarily. See, they both have the similar fun 8-bit NES style going on, and it's done really well. The world is still gorgeous and the colors are popping, potentially more than Shovel Knight's. But then the Messenger pulls out his Game Genie and manages to have two different art styles going on. That's right. About halfway through the game you go forward in time, and to convey that you are now in a 16-bit style, and man is it beautiful. Don't get me wrong, the 8-bit stuff is still fantastic sprite work, but there's something about that 16-bit hat that gets my jimmies rustled. Not to mention the effortless swaps between styles. As many puzzles require you to go back and forth from past and future, you'll end up getting to play in both visual styles quite a bit. Celeste's style is quite unique. It always felt to me like each chapter's style and colors also represented a feeling. When you first meet Battleline in Chapter 2, it's a dark and scary place to be in. But once you make it to the summit, you're soaring through bright golden skies, working together to accomplish a single goal. Reach the top. Celeste's take on simple yet complex can be a good thing and a bad thing. As I mentioned before, when the colors pop, they really pop, but some areas also feel a little samey now and again. Really, I'm sure that could be said with all four of our competitors here in some way, but I suppose I just noticed it a bit more with Celeste. Still though, the colorful backgrounds always manage to really wow me. Hollow Knight's visual style is vastly different from its other three opponents. Where Shovel Knight and the Messenger capture that NES aesthetic, Hollow Knight's hauntingly beautiful style leaves me in awe every time I look at it. Almost every single area manages to capture its own aesthetic fantastically. City of Tears is overtaken by a feeling of hopeful dread as the entire area is sheeted in blue and rain. Areas like the Ancient Basin or Deep Nest are dark and feel terrifying to traverse. In contrast to that, there's the White Palace, which is just beaming with a sense of poise and polish. All the colors look drained from it and the entire area is practically lifeless. This is a really hard category to choose for me. Shovel Knight's classic and enthusiastic style, the Messenger's amazing sprite work that switches effortlessly, Celeste's simple but incredibly unique design, or Hollow Knight's emotional visuals. This might be a bit out of left field, but for the visual category, I'll be choosing the Messenger. There are things I like about Hollow Knight and Celeste more, for sure, but there's a sense of nostalgia in the Messenger's old but fresh kind of style that's just too hard to pass up for me. Next category, characters. Shovel Knight's cast of characters is hilariously fun. Each one seems to be more than just a random NPC, but they all have backstories and lives. Yacht Club Games has only gone more in depth as the DLCs have gone on. Plague Knight and Spectre Knight, who in the Shovel of Hope campaign are kinda just big douchies, end up developing their own story, and with their story comes their friends' stories. It's a constant cycle of just creating more and more likable characters. Shovel Knight's Kickstarter also brought in 5 directors for a day, where they could create their own dudes, and these guys are super rad. Phantom Striker controls lightning powers, Reese wields crystal boomerangs and adventures for the same reason as Shovel Knight, and Mr. Hat just really likes hats. Shovel Knight even has Kratos. Try to name another game with Kratos, just try. The roster of people to meet in Shovel Knight is just crazy and very impressive. The Messenger's character lineup is more quality over quantity based. While it's got super fun bosses with hard to pronounce names like these bros or this guy, there aren't many staple names that you get to see very often. The shopkeeper is easily the best of them. You can talk to this dude at almost any point during the game and he'll have something new to tell you or a new way to make you laugh. Manfred is a giant chilled dragon who aspires to one day become a butler, and the Phobekins are cute little creatures that you can choose to save. There's other fun ones like other bosses, shopkeepers, and ninjas, but no one else crazy notable. I kinda set Celeste up for failure here. I love this game so much and I don't want anyone thinking that I don't, but Celeste's total amount of characters is 5. Madeline, Battleline, Theo, Mr. Oshiro, and Granny. Similar to the Messenger, all these characters are great. The lack of tons of others left the dev team to build solid personalities for these guys. But Celeste really isn't about other characters. The journey you go on is supposed to be your own story that you accomplish. Of course, there's always help along the way, but really it's all up to you. Theo is a really nice sidekick kind of guy and is the only person who is ever only nice to you. In fact, if you don't include Madeline, that means 50% of the Celeste cast at one point tried to kill you. And Granny was pretty mean to you, so she probably killed some confidence in you, so it might as well be like 60%. I'm only just now realizing that this video's categories are practically the same as my Hollow Knight Silksong video, just now with other games. Oops. Hollow Knight has characters on characters on characters, but like I said in the Silksong video, most of them are scarce. It's dangerous to go out and adventure in the world because of the infection, so many choose to stay at home or in safer areas. That's not to say there aren't some ballers though. Cornifer is in the scariest of areas just vibing and drawing maps. Cloth and Quirrell are always running around, and the last stag will come get you from practically anywhere in Hollow Nest. While the cast is very memorable characters, some in different ways. Whoa. You won't get to meet and learn a whole lot of backstory mumbo jumbo except for the really important guys. This one's pretty simple. All these games have awesome enemies and new friends to meet, but among all of them, Shovel Knight is the clear victor. Almost like I chose this category specifically for Shovel Knight. I don't know. The final category, movement. Here's the thing about Shovel Knight's movement. If we were talking this guy, or this guy, this would be a whole nother ball game. But as I'm trying to keep DLC mostly out of this, although maybe a separate DLC video in the future, ooh, we're talking solely about Shovel of Hope. As it stands, Shovel Knight's movement is great, but nothing to write home about. His run speed is standard, the pogo is really unique and fun to use, but that's all for his base level. When we factor in items, it gets a little better. Relics like the propeller dagger and dust knuckles allow you to traverse over large gaps. The downside is the dagger doesn't go very far and the knuckles only work on dirt. However, the custom amiibo variant of Shovel Knight has some really fun abilities like the Infinity Dagger or Glide Cloud. Then again, I don't really know if that factors into DLC that I can't talk about, so yeah, we're done here. The Messenger delivers on some solid and tight movement that I feel is a bit hard to explain just how much fun it is. You've got your basic wall climb, but the first really unique thing that you start out with is the Cloud Step, a technique that allows you to jump midair after slashing an enemy or an object. It's really easy to get the hang of, and really fun to see how long you might be able to stay in the air. Next, the Wingsuit. This thing allows you to fly and fight midair. Once you obtain another upgrade, you're able to attack downwards, meaning you could soar and spam down attacks practically as much as you like. Finally, the grappling hook, rope dart. You can use this to grab onto the hanging Cheerio things to launch yourself across. It's especially fun to use on enemies to move in close for a quick slash. Put all of these together and you've got a basic but incredibly fun moveset to master. Celeste I always knew had splendid movement. The dash and wall climb themselves are enough to sell me, but when you factor in the different puzzle solving techniques like the feather, these bubble things, this rainbow rock goo, I don't know what that is. They're all effective abilities to use and learn. But once I actually googled more of Celeste's movement, I don't know what to think. I mean, have you seen this? What the hell is a reverse extended super? Or a demo hyper? Coyote time? I knew you could wave dash in Celeste, but damn, I did not know you could coyote time. Reading about all of that got me really excited to play the game some more, as I haven't beaten all the B-sides or C-sides. Now, if you'll excuse me, I gotta get down to the part. I gotta work on my hyper reverse Jambalaya Supreme. Hollow Knight. Oh boy, Hollow Knight. Hollow Knight gives you ability after ability after ability. You can wall climb, you can dash back and forth, you can charge up for a super dash, you can do this screaming magic attack that stalls you in the air for a second, you can pogo off most enemies and objects including spikes, you can double jump, you can bounce off Cappy, sorry, wrong game, you can do practically anything you want, whenever you want. Hollow Knight is an open world game, meaning you're not always going to get the same ability or have the same experience. You might get the screamy attack before you get yourself a ground pound, get the double jump before you get the super dash, get the rocket nozzle before the hover nozzle. Ah, damn it. This category really is difficult. Had I allowed for more DLC to be valued, Shovel Knight would have had a real fighting chance here. The Messenger's Cloud Step is honestly really special to me personally, and might just be my favorite technique on here. And as the #1 coyote timer in the world, I love Celeste's wide range of jumps. But I feel that Hollow Knight's movement potential exceeds the rest of these. There's something incredibly special about the way all these games play, but something about Hollow Knight just does something extra special. This concludes the final category of the Best Game Ever Probably Awards. Let's see the final results. It was a hard-fought battle between our competitors, but ultimately, Hollow Knight reigns supreme. I do genuinely love all of these games, even if Shovel Knight got pretty shafted, sorry about that. I had wanted to make more categories, but let's be honest, even if there were 12 different categories, Hollow Knight still would have won. Congratulations to all of our competitors, and let's welcome Hollow Knight to the winner's circle of the Best Game Ever Probably. Thank you all so much for watching, and I hope to make more of these again.